Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, we've got this stack of sources you shared. Looks like a really detailed meteorological analysis for Europe, specifically focusing on June 16th through 18th, 2025.
That's right. A lot of data in there.
So our mission here is basically to cut through the noise, pull out the main takeaways for you, and understand the big weather stories playing out mid-June. Sound good?
Sounds perfect. And the headline really is this major pattern shift. It's almost creating two completely different Europes weather-wise.
Two Europes. Okay, that contrast sounds interesting. So let's start with one side, Western and Central Europe. They were dealing with some serious heat just before this, right?
Yeah, exactly. An intense early heat wave peaked around, say, the 14th, 15th, but the sources show a pretty sharp temperature drop starting Monday the 16th.
A drop back towards normal levels.
Pretty much, yeah. Things returned to near seasonal averages quite quickly. Paris, for example, forecasts highs around 21 to 23 Celsius.
Okay, that's bang on their June average.
Right. And Berlin's similar, around its 24-degree average. The main sort of risk there shifts from that intense heat to maybe some scattered thunderstorms, mostly just on Monday.
And after Monday.
Then high pressure builds in, so think settled, dry, mostly sunny. It's a really quick turnaround from the extreme heat they just had. Much more comfortable.
Okay, so that's the West. Stabilizing, improving. But you mentioned this contrast, and this is where it gets really interesting, I guess. Eastern Europe and Western Russia.
Ah, yes. That's the other side of the coin. A completely different story unfolding there. We're looking at a significant severe weather threat building.
Okay, what's driving that?
Well, the analysis points to an eastward moving trough hitting an air mass that's described as very warm, very moist, and crucially, very unstable.
How unstable are we talking? The sources mention some specific numbers.
They do. They highlight high moisture precipitable water in the 90th percentile. That's like the atmosphere holding way more water vapor than usual.
The 90th percentile.
Okay.
So a lot of potential fuel for rain and storms.
Precisely. And then you add the instability, the KPE values. The sources mention 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram generally, potentially even over 4,000 locally.
Whoa. Okay, translate CPE for us quickly. 4,000 sounds like a lot.
It is. CPE, convective available potential energy, is basically a measure of the explosiveness of the atmosphere, the energy available for thunderstorm updrafts. Anything over 1,000 is noteworthy, 2,500 is very high, and over 4,000. Well, that supports extremely intense storms. Think massive amounts of fuel ready to ignite.
And this whole setup is fueled by what? The circulation pattern.
Yeah, you've got that high pressure over Central Europe pulling warm, moist air eastward, and that clashes with cooler air coming down from the north further east. It's a classic setup for trouble.
But this isn't just your average summer thunderstorm risk, then?
No, definitely not. The risk really ramps up through Monday the 16th, but the analysis suggests the peak threat is probably Tuesday the 17th, and the big concern is the potential for a widespread high impact, a mesosynchrone convective system.
An MCS. An MCS.
Right. And why is that particularly worrying compared to, say, scattered storms?
Well, an MCS isn't just random pop-ups. It's a large, organized system of thunderstorms that can travel for hundreds of kilometers, lasting for hours. It acts like a single massive storm engine.
Okay, so longer duration, wider impact area.
Exactly. And the hazards listed in the sources for that corridor, Poland, Belarus, Ukraine into Western Russia, are pretty serious. We're talking large hail, potentially very damaging straight-line winds.
Like hurricane force gusts?
Potentially, yes. Destructive winds are a real possibility, and significant flash flooding from the sheer amount of rain that can fall.
You can really see that impact in the temperature forecast too, can't you? Warsaw, for instance.
Yeah, look at Warsaw. Drops from maybe 25 Celsius on Monday down to about 17 by Wednesday as that whole system pushes through. Moscow stays nearer its average, but with a high chance of rain, especially Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so let's put these two pictures together. Rapidly improving, pleasant weather in the west, and potentially dangerous widespread storms in the east. What are the main takeaways for you depending on where your focus is?
Well, they're really quite different. In the West, it's about shifting away from heat precautions and maybe, taking advantage of the good conditions. But in the East, sectors like energy, agriculture, transport, they need to be on high alert.
Thinking about potential disruptions.
Absolutely. Power outages from wind, lightning strikes, crop damage from hail and wind, major travel delays from flooding or high winds, especially picking on that Tuesday, the 17th. That looked like the main day.
And how confident are the sources about all this?
Confidence seems high on the big picture, this overall pattern split. Medium maybe on the exact timing and peak intensity of the severe stuff in the east. And interestingly, pretty low confidence specifically on tornado potential within that system.
Got it. So this deep dive really highlights a dramatic split across the continent, driven by these large-scale dynamics. The contrast is, well, it's stark. Pleasant west, volatile east.
It really is. And it makes you think. The sources mention Europe coming off dry conditions in some areas and maybe more heat waves later. How do these intense short burst events like these severe storms interact with those longer climate trends like drought?
Yeah, does heavy rain help long-term dryness, or does the severity just cause different problems?
Exactly. It's something worth considering, as you track how this all unfolds. Does it offer relief or just add another layer of challenge? Definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for bringing us this material for the deep dive.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.